Let's get it cracking. Let's get it cracking.
And this was a fight at a city council meeting in Flint, and now this is impacting their entire city budget.
And when a federal judge will hear argument on Harvard's request for federal funding to be restored. News Channel 3 Live at noon starts right now.
Covering West Michigan to protect and alert you. This is News Channel 3, live at noon.
Thanks for joining us on News Channel 3 Live at noon. I'm Kirk Mason.
And I'm Julie Williams. And this afternoon, we're hearing from Samuel Sterling's family for the first time since murder charges against retired Michigan State Police officer Brian Keeley were dropped. He was charged with murder and manslaughter for hitting and killing Sterling in a Burger King parking lot in Kentwood.
According to police, Sterling was running away to avoid arrest. News Channel 3's Autumn Pitcher joining us live from Grand Rapids. Autumn, Samuel's mother outraged by the judge's decision not only drop charges, but the case altogether.
Yeah, she is heartbroken and says this is not justice, especially because the case will no longer be going to trial before a jury.
I really do want to know why the officers get away with everything. Because as I say, my son was not a threat. My son was running away. And if you're running away from something you don't expect, they don't even treat an animal like this.
Now, former MSP Detective Sergeant Brian Keeley's motion for dismissal of all charges against him was granted last Wednesday in federal court. Keeley argued that because he was a federal officer while working with the U.S. Marshal Service when attempting to arrest Sterling, he is immune from prosecution under the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution. A federal judge agreed. Now, it was April 2024 when Keeley was trying to arrest Sterling on multiple outstanding warrants. When he decided to run away, Keeley was chasing him in an unmarked car when he turned and hit Sterling at a Burger King parking lot. He later died. The judge's decision to dismiss the case comes on the heels of Kent County Prosecutor Chris Becker's decision to not retry former GRPD officer Christopher Schur. And civil rights attorney Ben Johnson says the justice system is failing.
And to see two different officers in one area get away with murder and have zero criminal accountability is a very strong message that our system is broken. And so these families are broken.
We know that the Attorney General is looking into appeal options, and we also know that the attorneys representing the Sterling family have filed a civil lawsuit against Keeley regarding what they call Keeley's excessive use of force. Now, we will have more on the family's next steps and more about this civil case tonight in our show at 5 and 6. Live in Grand Rapids, Autumn Pitcher, News Channel 3.
Thank you, Autumn. Let's now take a live look over Kalamazoo. June starting to act like June with the heat coming out today. Meteorologist Jeff Porter here with how close to 90 we could get. Jeff.
Kirk, good afternoon. Some of us are already in the 80s. We will show you where in a moment. I want to show you the big lake, Lake Michigan, that is, because the winds are ramping up the lakes. Not just the Great Lake Michigan, but all the Great Lakes, and that is leading to some bigger waves. How about this wonderful shot here in Grand Haven? Let's get the heck off of that. All right, here's your beach hazard statement. We are worried about rip currents here all the way through 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Right now, the waves in Grand Haven, for instance, about 3 feet or so, but some of the gusts could exceed 30 miles per hour. We're worried about water on the piers. We want you off the piers, Holland and northward. So that's a beach hazard statement that's also available at WWMT.com as an alert banner at the top. Kirk said it. Let's confirm it. I think in the conversation of 90 makes sense here. We got an 87 at 4 o'clock. The only problem here, preventing us from reaching 90 degrees is wildfire smoke in our skies. So it is filtered sun here. We're also adding in some high clouds as we look at satellite and radar together. Rain still west of the Mississippi River. 78 officially right now in Kalamazoo. Got a southerly wind, 13 miles per hour. But look at South Haven. You're at 81. It is 80 right now in Holland, 80 in Benton Harbor. Let's track rain for tomorrow morning at the lakeshore at 6 and 7 a.m. Same general areas at 8 and 9, eventually getting into Kalamazoo at 10. We've got good news on the wildfire smoke front. We're going to track it for you. What time a few strong storms are possible tomorrow. Julie, we'll do that in 10 minutes.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. Well, right now, police in Muskegon say they're investigating a homicide. It happened on Gyrock Street just before 6 last night. They say they found a man in the road who had been shot, and then he died at the hospital. Police are still looking into this. They let us know that they'll release more information as soon as they get it. Of course, as soon as we hear from them, we will let you know. They are investigating, so please call police or Silent Observer if you know anything.
A Kalamazoo County restaurant manager is speaking out about crime in the area. His business damaged in a shooting early Monday morning. The shooting happened around 2 a.m. near the Big Burrito at KL and Drake. Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Office says no one was hurt, but multiple cars were hit by bullets. A window in the front of the restaurant shattered. The window alone expected to cost several $100s to replace. We spoke with Big Burrito's general manager. He's concerned about the amount of crime in the area and the impact it's having on foot traffic at his restaurant.
I had heard from regulars that they hadn't been around for maybe about a year or so when there was a shooting in the past because they were afraid.
Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety was able to track down a suspect who had a gun on them. They're being held at the Kalamazoo County Jail.
There was a fight at Flint City Council meeting last night, right before they were supposed to vote on their budget. Now, they didn't end up passing one. People who were there say tensions were fairly high. Watch this video of how this unfolds. Again, they say tensions were pretty high, especially during the public comment session that lasted more than an hour. And a lot of folks talked about something that had happened Sunday night. That's when police gave out tickets and even towed cars during a protest downtown. Well, a woman last night told the former mayor she needs to stand and acknowledge her, quote, fiscal mismanagement.
In 2019, this administration came in with a $24 million surplus. We are now facing a deficit budget, a $4 million deficit budget. I'm concerned about that because what the city charter says on page 61 is we must pass and maintain a balanced budget.
Now the city says they're in a precarious situation financially. Their city council is in violation of not passing a budget.
And the city releasing the following statement saying in part, quote, the disruption and failure to adopt the budget is a direct failure on the part of city council to fulfill its legal and ethical responsibility to the residents of Flint. They go on to say this non-action jeopardizes city operations and undermines public trust at a time when stability and leadership are most needed. The Flint Police Department also put out a statement saying in part, quote, we're actively reviewing additional security measures and protocols to prevent future incidents and to maintain the integrity and safety of all civic gatherings. The department goes on to say our officers will continue to monitor and enforce laws diligently to ensure that Flint remains a safe place for open dialogue and civic participation.
The ACLU of Michigan reached a deal with the Trump administration on a federal lawsuit. This is about 4 international students who were at Wayne State and the University of Michigan. Well, their visas were terminated and then they were restored. So that's why the ACLU dropped the suit. This has happened across the U.S. and the U.S. State Department even told U.S. embassies not to schedule any new student visa appointments. They're also planning on expanding their social media screenings for international students who are applying for visas.
Federal judge will hear arguments on Harvard's request for federal funding to be restored next month. Harvard requesting a summary judgment Monday to unfreeze $2.5 billion in funding. University claims it's illegal for the Trump administration to block the funding. Harvard sued the administration for freezing its funding in April. They say the freeze violates the university's freedom of speech. The Trump administration placed Harvard under several investigations, including allegations of anti-Semitic practices on campus.
CNN says Iran thinks our deal for their nuclear program is, quote, incoherent. Iran has been enriching their uranium stockpile, and we've told them that we won't lift our sanctions on them if they keep doing that. Well, CNN says the U.S. suggested that we invest in their nuclear program and help oversee their enrichment together. Iran, though, says no enrichment means no deal. It's not clear if and or when there will be another round of negotiations. And Ukraine says they destroyed part of a bridge that connects Russia to Crimea. This is the 3rd time this bridge has been targeted, and Ukraine says they've been planning this for months. They also launched a surprise attack in Russia over the weekend, and then Russia launched their own strikes back overnight. We know that 3 people died and 25 people were hurt. Those strikes hit an apartment building and a medical facility in Ukraine.
More cases of measles are confirmed in Michigan. 2 adults in the Upper Peninsula have the measles. Both cases are in Marquette County, but both adults traveled outside the county, including Ontonagon and Delta counties. This brings Michigan to 10 total measles cases so far this year. Health officials urging anyone who is not to get the vaccine. Symptoms of measles can include a high fever, cough, runny nose, and a red rash that usually starts on the face. If you think you have the measles, isolate and call before visiting a doctor or emergency room.
Well, coming up this afternoon, local police say a fire at a business might have been set on purpose, and they're sharing more of their investigation with us.
Julie, thank you very much. These are hourly wind gusts for the remainder of your afternoon and into the evening. What is our risk of severe weather for tomorrow? Great to have you alongside. You're watching News Channel